No.
Well, what did she want this time? This is her third call. Did she know she's only allowed to call once a day?
Just updating me on her excerpts for being upset.
Yeah. Well, give it to us, dude.
What? She said she was calling some of our sponsors.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, that's the same crap she said an hour ago.
I know. That's all she said. That's all.
God, it must really be slow in the streets of Arcadia, and she's still listening, huh?
Yep.
Well, of course she's going to continue to listen on, because at 4:22 this afternoon is when I'm really, sometime between now and 4:22 is when I'm really going to say the bad stuff about her. I mean, I've been pretty easy on her up till now, but between now and 4:22 is when I'll really say the bad stuff. Of course, I might be fibbing. This might just be an attempt to sucker her into listening for another hour and 22 minutes, but she's not going to be able to turn off the radio because now she wants to hear herself being talked about on the radio, so I'm not going to do it between now and 4:22. But I might. And that's the way you deal with people like this.
I'm scared.
Oh, yeah, me too. Oh, please, lady, please don't. Please don't. Yes, our sponsors up here are really, very concerned what people in Arcadia think. God.
Tommy's mother thinks he has very big muscles. And the gardener thinks Tommy's mother has very big Donde está tu esposo, says the gardener. He won't be home for hours, says Tommy's mother. Why don't you come inside? And come inside. Come inside.
Damn. Like that one.
Didn't we get that from that photo shop in Arcadia? I tell you, that damn projector just never... Every time we try to run an educational film, the same thing happened last week when I ran that educational film on Congress.
We try to do good things.
Yeah.
We try to do educational
But
things.
we work with a bare bones budget here. So what's going on in the world we should be aware of outside of traffic jams north of Jacksonville?
Oh, let me see. I had a bunch of OJ stuff, but that's finished up and they're having lunch. Oh, the new opinion poll is indicating that we, the public, are not convinced that OJ is guilty. So, this was a poll for USA Today and CNN. It says 44% of those who responded think prosecutors made an effective case. 44% don't.
Yeah, 44% didn't watch.
Let's see. Some girls got hurt trying to cram into a Volkswagen. Oh, this is a good story. In Roanoke, Virginia, a family says it's going to move rather
wait a
than
second.
give
Let's
up
go back to that. Wait a second. Let's go back to that previous story. What was that? 4 people were in an accident in the Volkswagen?
Oh, because it probably sounded like a good idea at the time, trying to cram 12 girls into a Volkswagen Bug during a contest at a Ventura, California high school.
Yeah.
But the weight of all those girls forced the metal seat springs down into the uncovered terminals of the car's battery, and the back seat started to smolder. And it started to scream. Everybody scrambled out of the car as it began to fill with smoke, and a 16-year-old cheerleader ended up with some burns on her upper leg. Burns aren't that bad, though. She'll be...
God, some of those teenage girls really can have big asses, I tell you. Shouldn't be trying to cram them into Volkswagen Bugs. Yeah, okay, so what else you got?
Roanoke, Virginia family says it's going to move instead of give up its little pot-bellied pigs.
Jesus.
William and Susan Thompson want the city to change its ordinance that prohibits swine and cows to be kept as pets within the city limits. The neighbors...
We have one listener who's into pot-bellied pigs. One listener.
And I wonder how little
Nobody else cares about pot-bellied pigs.
I wonder how little Elvis is doing, too.
We're off the air, aren't we, Jeffy? Jeffy?
He's busy.
Yes?
We're off the air, aren't we?
No, we are not.
Oh, that was just a trick?
Electricity's going bonkers around here.
There's just some power surges going on.
Oh.
Well, anyway, the neighbors are whining that their property values are going down because of the smell from the backyard. I wouldn't think that they'd be that smart.
One listener and you care about pot-bellied pigs, and you just insist upon bringing up pot-bellied pig stories.
It was just a cute little piggy, that's all.
Nobody finds pot-bellied pigs are obnoxious-looking animals.
No, they're not.
They are, too. Nobody likes them,
They're
Sharon.
precious. Have you ever tried to get to know one?
Oh, Jesus.
I mean, have you ever patted one on the head and let it nuzzle against your hand and rub behind its little piggy ears and Seen it
God,
wag
my
its
ear's sick.
little pinky tail. They wag their tails, you know. Very sweet little animals. Let's see. Somebody's rowed across the Atlantic. Jeez. 100 days at sea and 500,000 oar strokes. A Brittany rower has made it across the Atlantic. Finishing today or tomorrow, will be the first ever to carry mail between the U.S. and France via rowboat. Oh, let me see. Oh, Babe is still on the top 10 list of the movies at the box office. Babe, the pig movie.
That's not true.
It is.
No, it's not. Speaking of babes, you watching Jenny Jones?
Hey, baby. Number 9, Babe. Number 9.
Let me see. You said it was at the top of the list.
Top 10. I said it was in the top 10.
Yeah, there are only 9 movies out.
Oh, it's number 9 on 10. I'll find something else exciting. The biggest thrill of my day, though, honest, was going to my little mailbox at work and opening up this new Weekly World News right to the page where they've got white trash recipes.
We've had enough white trash recipes. Let's go to Tampa. Hi, Tampa. You're on the air at WSUN.
You know what else is in Arcadia, Bob?
Oh, Jesus.
Hey,
Mr. Party.
You know what else is in Arcadia?
What's that, Mr. Party?
The state hospital for the mentally insane.
Oh, that's
You're right.
That's right.
Jeffy called them, tell them one of their inmates is loose.
Anyway,
Out there turning tricks.
Anyway, I have a question and a comment.
Yeah.
My question is how much do you know about the whole George Jackson thing? I guess it was back in 71 or 70.
George Jackson?
Yeah, apparently from what I can tell, it was there was some kind of a disturbance out in I guess it was at San Quentin. And I'm just curious because I have this movie called Attica, and it mentions it at the beginning of the movie.
I know nothing about George Jackson at all, Mr. Party. Absolutely nothing. Nothing.
I was just curious. And the other thing I wanted to say, the comment, is I knew that O.J. was going to walk from the very first report came out of the murder because people with that kind of money always walk. Look at Bill Kennedy Smith, you know?
No, they don't always walk. And what do you mean, look at Bill Kennedy Smith?
Yeah, apparently took that girl in the compound. And
Is this the girl that he raped by throwing her onto the lawn? And ripping her dress and her underwear off, even though there were absolutely no grass marks on her clothing whatsoever, and her very, very delicate underwear showed absolutely no sign of stress whatsoever. Is that the case you're talking about, Mr. Party?
Well, Robert, it was years ago, and to be perfectly honest
you don't remember the details, but what the hell, since he's a Kennedy, let's call him a rapist. Right, I understand.
Well, I'm just simply, the only thing I'm trying to point out is if you have enough money, you can get away with anything in this country. And I've known that since I was a teenager. That if
no, it's not a matter of if you have enough money, you can get away with anything. What it is if you have enough money, you can expose the justice system for what it is, and people won't convict you for it. That's what it is. It's not a matter of getting away with anything. It's having enough money to expose very, very sloppy work. That's what it boils down to, Mr. Party.
Well, basically, when I know that if I got busted for a serious crime, I would probably do the time. And whether or not O.J.
Yes, you probably would, and that should enrage you, but it should not anger you against the wealthy people. It should anger you against the system that it's a business as usual. We think he's guilty, so screw it. That's good enough for us. And people can't stand up to the system. The system is immense. It is gigantic. It has virtually unlimited resources to fight you.
Well, I've just pretty much always looked at it that, with enough capital on hand, you can basically get away with almost anything. And I really stand by that. I mean,
based on what? Based on what? Give me something to sink my teeth into on this.
Oh, well, I'm trying to think. I can tell you that I think we can agree that Watergate was certainly a little bit shady, but I don't think anybody really did any time there that was in the real high up. It just seems like that the real elite always get away with it, no matter what it is. It just seems that way, and maybe it's a misperception on my part, but it does. It just always seems that the very elite can get away with nearly anything.
Okay, Jude. Sounds good to me.
All right, guys.
Lock and load.
See ya.
Guns are the answer, Mr. Party. 576 WSUN in Pinellas and Hillsborough, 221 WSUN.
He collects guns. I remember that.
Oh, God, have mercy on us.
That's a conception that a lot of people have, though. that the elite and the rich can get away with anything they want.
And that isn't the case. The case is the elite can afford to expose the system for what it is, how slipshod it is. And when people find out how slipshod it is, they get very, very nervous about throwing other people in jail. Let's go to a cell phone. Hi, Sal. You're on the air at WSUN.
Hey, Bob. How you doing?
Doing great, man. How are you?
Good. You're exactly right, because even with the attorneys OJ has, it took them months to find some of these things out, like about Furman, and you and I wouldn't have the money or the time to dig deep enough to find out some of the stuff that they find out.
Well, I mean, as a perfect example, let's go back to that William Kennedy Smith trial. The prosecution was very well aware of the fact that they were going to stand there in front of a jury and say, this woman had been thrown to the ground. Have you ever been out on a Florida night about 4 o'clock in the morning? Kind of wet out there, isn't it?
Sure is.
So they knew that there were no stains on her clothing. They knew that she was wearing very, very delicate underwear and still had no problem whatsoever standing in front of the jury and said, and this son of a bitch threw her to the ground and ripped her clothes off and violated her.
Well, if the guy is saying,
knowing full well they couldn't prove it.
Mr. Party's saying that if you have money, you get off every time. Well, what happened to Mike Tyson? He's got more money than any of these people.
That's right.
So, anyway, I was calling to say you had a very intelligent call yesterday.
We did?
And,
yeah, I tried to blow it off as soon as I caught on, too. I'm sorry, man. I really apologize for that.
And I think Sharon brought up the, reinforced the point of it today about the pot-bellied pigs. Goes right along with the trailer trash area. You got these sophisticated computers, and you're out looking at stars, and she's babysitting pot-bellied pigs.
Oh, I'd love that, a little piggy. I wish I had room for
Oh,
one.
Jesus.
They're
You
so
get a double
cute.
wide.
They're
and
very,
pig inside with her.
they're very intelligent.
Yeah, get rid of some of your cats and you can make room for the pig.
All right, Moose.
Okay, be good. 576 WSUN in Pinellas and Hillsborough, 221 WSUN. Have we heard back from the lady in Arcadia?
No word yet. No.
Oh. Yeah, I think the Grange meeting breaks up at 3 o'clock, so she'll be busy for a while. Let's go to a Dade City. Hi, Dade. You're on the air at WSUN.
Yeah, Bob.
Yes.
I just wanted to call in. I'm a first-time caller, and I heard you. Thank you very much. I
Anytime.
appreciate it.
That's what we're here for.
I wanted to second your opinion that you had on the Tampa Tribune editorial staff. I've been hounding them for about 2 months about how conservative they've become, in the last 6 months or so.
It's not a matter of conservatism. Don't go and besmirch decent conservatives all over the country. It's just a matter of bullheadedness and pigheadedness and stupidity and short-sightedness.
Okay, well, I especially have a problem. There's a lot of talented political cartoonists around the country, and once in a while the Tribune's Wayne Stacegow has a day off, I guess, and they print somebody else's from Fort Lauderdale or whatever, and it's really insightful and interesting, and then we have to go back to 5 days of Wayne Stacegow, and I just think he has two topics that he basically covers. He either bashes Bill Clinton or he has some simplistic anti-abortion cartoon, and I just think that he should be more broad-minded about it, and, that's just one aspect that really bothers me. They've got this tired old, one-track mind, and, I really think it hurts their editorial page, because you said that
it's otherwise a very fine newspaper. The editorial page is a joke.
Exactly. That's what I
the trees
the
die for that
Times is
stuff.
liberal, but I'm not going to switch to the Times because it doesn't compare, as far as photography and writing and just overall print quality to the Tribune, and that's what's so aggravating for me. I want a good newspaper, but I can't hardly stand to, read that section of the paper. But I just wanted to agree with you on that point. I thought that was interesting because I've had that opinion for a while. When I heard you say that earlier, it really struck a chord.
Okay.
All righty?
Okay.
Have a good day.
You too.
Rob.
576 WSUN in Pinellas and Hillsborough, 221 WSUN, and of course toll free 1-800-356-WSUN. It's 316. 20 minutes after the hour of 3 o'clock, 3:20 is the time. Okay, Sharon, I gave you a chance. I asked you, what you had going today. Was hoping for some amusing or provocative or thing like, that stories you come up with.
I gave you amusing.
Yeah, pot-bellied pig story, right? So I'll do it on my own. Here's a great story. Just guaranteed to, put a smile on your face and make you feel good, okay?
Okay.
Because that's the kind of stuff I was looking for, Sharon.
Sure.
Stuff put a smile on your face, make you feel good.
Yeah.
Looters converged on a fatal hit-and-run accident trying to steal things from a car as the driver lay dying inside, according to outraged police in Indianapolis. The looters, as well as the other driver, ran away when the police showed up. The accident occurred Saturday night when a truck with a stolen license plate ran a stop sign and collided with the car, sending both vehicles into a fence. Police had not found the truck driver by Monday night. The first police officer on the scene said he found several people trying to take items from the car while the victims were still inside. Police are still looking for the looters as of Monday night. It's particularly disturbing to us police officers to have to have individuals who should have been in a position to render first aid or assistance, but instead chose to rob the victims. Police said the group in the car was returning from shopping at a downtown mall and had bags in the car that held their purchases. The looters ran away when police arrived, and it wasn't immediately clear if they got away with anything. Is that a great story? See, I told you, put a smile on your face.
Beautiful.
Make you feel good about yourself, make you feel good. Why do people do that kind of stuff? Why do things like this happen?
Because they're greedy and disgusting.
Of course, exactly, Sharon. And the kiddies aren't praying in school. And there's not enough church going in the country. And it's the parents' fault.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all a bunch of bull crap. It's not why this kind of crap happens.
No?
This kind of crap happens because we've brought it on ourselves. That's why it happens. We increasingly isolate ourselves in this country from one another. And in particular, we isolate people who we perceive as being of a lesser class. And it doesn't really make any difference what your station in life is, where you stand on the ladder. Whoever the hell is below you is undesirable and somebody that you don't want to be around in any shape, manner, or form. Isn't that the truth? I mean, you understand what I'm saying, don't you? And it goes a lot deeper than that, too. It's the television, and it's the telephone, and it's the tinted windows on your car, so people can't see in. It's the gated communities that are popping up every place. It's the obsession with security. It's the exclusive clubs and shops and things like that. And it's the club seating and the luxury boxes at stadiums.
Oh, I knew we'd get around to working that in.
But it is. It's all of these things and a hell of a lot more. I mean, every day, in every way, we send messages, real clear messages that only a fool couldn't understand to certain segments of our society. And that message is real simple. Hey, man, if you ain't one of us, then you ain't diddly squat. If you're not at least as good as me, you ain't diddly squat. And we treat people like that every day in this country, day in and day out. And don't you dare tell me it's not true. Because I don't care who you are, unless you're just one of a relative handful of people on this earth. You know you get the short end of the stick every day, don't you? You know that people are out to screw you every day, don't you? Well, most of us are doing kind of okay, and most of us are able to survive, and most of us are able to, somehow ride out all those people who are out to get us, but you know people are out to get you, don't you? But if it's anybody that's on a little lower rung of the ladder than you, then they're just bellyachers. It's not true for them. It's only true for you and your friends and your buddies. Man, I don't know. That's why things like that happen. And that's why they're going to continue to happen. And probably get a hell of a lot worse than they already are. Don't worry, man. I'm not telling you to change your evil ways. I'm not telling you to go out there and, peel the tinting off of your windows and hug your neighbor and all that kind of stuff. Don't sweat it, man. I'm just telling you not to be surprised when these things happen. I'm just telling you not to be surprised at the results and the consequences of the way we conduct ourselves, of the way we conduct this damn country. I mean, we have done everything in our power to build an exclusionary society where people are excluded. And we frequently even ask those people who are excluded to pay for it, to literally fund it. And you know what? the people who have been excluded ain't all that happy about it. And if you think you're getting screwed every day, how do you think they feel? Because they really get screwed, and there's nothing they can do to fight back. And it has gotten to the point where these people consider everybody fair game. They consider everybody to be their enemy. I mean, frankly, they don't have a hell of a lot in the way of opportunity to get even with the rest of us. But boy, when they do get that chance, that's the kind of stuff that happens. Guy's driving down the street on the way home from the mall, has a traffic accident. He's lying there in his car, bleeding to death, and people are picking through his packages, ignoring him. Not because he's some evil corporate raider or bean counter or whatever. He's probably just a guy like you or a guy like me, maybe just a guy like them. But we have people in this society that we treat so bad that they consider everybody fair game now. Ain't pretty, is it? Yesterday, the St. Petersburg Times mentioned yesterday, ran that series of articles on luxury homes in the area, multi-million-dollar homes. Some of them filled with multi-million-dollar art collections and things like that. And the article went on to say basically how the people who live in those homes earned, quotation marks around that, earned the money to do so. And if you read the article, then you know what I'm talking about. Several of the people earned their money to live that way on the backs of the down-and-out crowd. And they didn't seem to mind at all. Well, that's cool, I guess. You know, you earn your bucks any way you can. But it's really kind of stupid to brag about it. Oh, sure, bring the photographers over. We're proud of what we have that we earned on the backs of people that we paid the minimum wage to. Sure, bring the photographers. Oh, are we going to be on the front page? Oh, let me get my jewelry out and sit by the pool. And take photographs of me. I'll say things like, I work hard. I mean, for God's sake, man, if you're going to live in a multi-million-dollar house and hang Picassos on the wall, then, please, keep quiet about it if you got the bucks to do so by, paying people a minimum wage, for Christ's sake. And if you run a newspaper and, you supposedly care about the community and the people that live in it, don't splash pictures glorifying this crap on the front page of the paper. That's why things like what happened in Indianapolis are happening. The people who were left behind in the gutter are starting to get pissed off about it. And when you prance around giving credit to yourself, bending over backwards to pat yourself on the back, or you prance around giving, oh, glory to God, because he favored me and not you, it insults those people. And when you spout off about how well you're doing, living off of your hard work, and bitching and moaning about how those good-for-nothing welfare people, I mean, they have air conditioning and wall-to-wall carpeting. They're living so well. They're just lazy, Don't you know that? They're just lazy. That's all the problem is. They're just lazy. It makes them mad, dude, because it ain't true. And when you do things like sit in your $250,000 house or your $500,000 house with a couple of $50,000 cars out in the garage, and you're just back from your vacation and you just finished going over your brokerage statement, and you're sitting there belly aching about how taxes are eating you alive and keeping you from having even more than you've got, folks who ain't got nothing tend to think that you're a heartless son of a bitch. You know what I mean? And they're just kind of hoping that you'll come, through their intersection and get in a car accident so they can go pick through your wallet. Find out what you got hidden in the trunk and take it. So let's cut the crap here and let's stop pretending to be shocked when this stuff happens, okay? See, everything's relative, man. Everything's relative. And the way these folks see it, their lives are kind of like a traffic accident. And all the rest of us are standing around looting the car as they lay there bleeding. So they're only doing to us what they perceive that we're doing to them. Get the picture? I mean, let's look at this a little bit closer, okay? We'll look at it just a little itsy-bitsy teeny-weeny bit closer. I'm sure that, from time to time as you're listening to the radio, somebody will call up, and I don't know, maybe you're making $40,000 a year at your house, and somebody will call up and say, me and my wife, we work, and we make $27,000 a year, and we're doing okay. We're not getting rich, but we're doing okay. And you sit there and you go, oh, my God. How do they survive on $27,000 a year? I couldn't do that. Or you're sitting there, maybe you make $60,000 a year, and somebody calls up and says, well, me and the wife, we make $40,000 a year. And you go, oh, my God. How do they survive on $40,000 a year? Or maybe you make $200,000 a year, and somebody calls up and says, I had a good year. I made $70,000 last year. And you go, oh, my God. How do they survive on $70,000 a year? And the point is, that's not what you mean. You don't give a crap about how they were surviving on $70,000 a year. The only thing that's gone through your mind is, holy mother of God, what if I had to do that? Oh! Because you don't care about that. When you hear what other people have to survive on, the first thing that goes through your mind is, I couldn't do that. Oh, I don't want to do that. You don't care about that. You don't care about how they're doing it, or what they have to do without, or anything else. Let's take Malcolm as an example. We don't want to pick on Malcolm. We're just going to use him as an example, and we're going to use him because we all are familiar with Malcolm and some of the stuff that he has done to enrich himself. And in particular, we're all familiar with the $3 a kid, $5 a dog story. People have dogs for a number of reasons. Companionship, love, security, or a combination of those things. Well, you see, we are at a point in this life where we don't give a crap about anybody else. I mean, here's the bottom line. If you want a dog for companionship or security or love, you can have one. And, of course, you got to feed him. And you should buy a license for him, and I suppose most of you do. And occasionally you got to take him to the vet and get him some shots so, the poor thing won't catch some kind of weird disease and keel over on you. And, you have to do all the things that the poor guy that lives in Malcolm's trailer park has. You can't just move if you don't have it. One of the people that lives in those big fancy schmancy houses makes his money selling cars to poor people. 25% interest. He feels pretty good about it, says he's doing them a favor. I got to thinking about that 10 years ago when I came to this town. I was in the middle of a divorce. I was broke. My car had just been repossessed. I desperately needed a car. I was making $31,000 a year. I was working 7 days a week to do it in 2 different markets. But I couldn't get a car loan. So I had to go to one of these buy here, pay here kind of places. Now, I can remember standing there that afternoon just as clear as though it happened yesterday. I'm standing there smiling at the guy. He's standing there smiling at me. Sells me a so-so car. I believe it was a 22% interest. And I had to buy it because I desperately needed a car. I had to drive over 500 miles just to get to and from my part-time job. I desperately needed that car. And so, of course, I took the deal. Do you think I'm grateful to him? Do you think I went back? No, I'm not grateful to him. I stood there smiling that afternoon, and I stood there shaking his hand, and I knew exactly what in the hell he was doing to me. And he knew exactly what in the hell he was doing to me, and he's patting me on the back, telling me how he's giving me a second chance. He wasn't giving me no second chance. He knew he had me by the balls, and he was squeezing, and it was hurting. And I had to stand there and eat it, and smile, and thank him. It's one of the problems that we have in this country is the people who are on top are literally out of control. They just do not care. But of course nobody wants to hear that, do they? Of course not. You don't want to hear that. You want the proof? Hey, look at me. I clean up after the waitresses and open for the psychic. And the bitch in Arcadia wants to know why I don't talk about Congress. WSUN in Pinellas, in Hillsborough, 221 WSUN, and of course, toll free, 1-800-356-WSUN. Don't you insult me, bitch. Don't you dare insult me. Don't you dare threaten me. I didn't create this goddamn mess. Why don't you go listen to your lovely Rush Limbaugh? You'll never have to worry about him saying what I just said. But then, hey, he doesn't clean up after the waitresses and open for the psychic. It's 3:37. .41 the time, works out to what, about 19 minutes away from the hour, 4 o'clock. Jeffy, have we heard from the woman in Arcadia?
No, we have not.
No, I didn't think we had. Now I'll bet she really wishes I was talking about farting, don't you, lady? No, lady, you see what you want me to do is you want me to do what Rush does. You want me to sit here and blame everything that's wrong on everybody else but you. It's the liberals' fault. It's the Negroes' fault. It's everybody's fault but yours. No, I've done this for 10 years, lady. And there is nobody... I'll tell you flat out, lady, there ain't nobody that does it better. Had you hanging on every word, didn't I, bitch? Damn straight I did, because there's nobody that does it better. But you know what, lady? After 10 years, I think I talked to a half a dozen people who accept the responsibility for what was wrong. And I just don't feel like doing it anymore. I just don't feel like letting people kid themselves anymore. And every now and then, for about 10, 15 minutes at a time, I hit them between the eyes with a 2x4. And then go back to talking about farting and meatloaf. Just every now and then I like to get my hands on a story like a disgusting story. Like how people loot a car with a man bleeding to death in it. And I like to tell you why it happened. And I don't put up with any crap about it. Well, it's the parents. I tell you, it's them liberals. As soon as they stop the children from praying in the schools, this kind of stuff started to happen. That's a bunch of bullcrap, and I don't put up with it, and I don't put up with people that say it. So where are you now, lady? I thought you wanted to talk about the issues. Huh? Where are you now, lady? Cringing in your car? Oh, please, talk about farting again. Please. There's nobody that does it better, lady, than me. What, for the likes of you? I think not, sweetheart. I'll just talk about things that are on your level, like farting. So you can sit there and feel self-righteous. Anybody else got anything to add to that? 576 WSUN in Pinellas and Hillsborough, 221 WSUN, and of course toll free, 1-800-356-WSUN. Let's go to Clearwater. Hi, Clear. You're on the air at WSUN.
Hey, Bob. How you doing today?
Doing great, dude.
You know, Bob, I listen to your show often. It's a good show. You know what? It seems to me, Bob, that those looters lost their hope. They have no hope. As you often...
No, it's way beyond hope, man. They just have nothing but contempt. They have contempt for you. They have contempt for me. They have contempt for each other because everybody has contempt for them.
Well, I just don't see a solution, Bob. You have an idea? Seriously?
You don't see a solution?
I mean, I can't have what I have without, what I have is, by even your means, humble,
Sorry, I give you the solution every day. I've given it to you 3 or 4 times already today.
And what was it?
Guns.
Oh, no, Bob.
Guns are the answer, sir. Guns are the answer. It's your only hope. Get one. Get 3 or 4 if you can.
Bob, I love to bring this up when I meet my NRA buddies. Years ago, when the Bill of Rights was written, and they were talking about everyone has the right to bear arms, Bob, they were talking about 5 muskets and a Bowie knife. They weren't talking about an AK, whatever, and these assault weapons that fire 32 rounds a second. They weren't talking about that.
So?
Who needs that? You don't need that.
So?
So?
I think you need it.
You do not. Just because you think...
Oh, I beg your pardon, sir. If you're going to continue to treat people like we treat them in this country, you need it.
No.
It's your only hope, dude. Guns. Big ones, automatic ones.
Have that.
Anybody but who?
Anyone but the Army should have a use for an automatic weapon.
The Army?
The Army.
Oh, my God.
You know, to maybe defend our country or what.
Against who?
I don't know, Bob.
Then what do you want to arm them for?
Because you can't have an army without any arms.
Well, what do you need an army for? Who's going to come and take you over?
Well, someone's going.
Who?
The commies want my 5 muskets and my Bowie knife.
Commies fell apart, sir. Aren't any more commies.
Well, I'm sure there's somebody that wants something that I have. We need an army, Bob. You know, ever since the beginning of time, we've had an army or some kind of militia.
You know, we got a great big army base in the middle of the Mississippi River in between Iowa and Illinois. Did you know that?
No.
Yes. It was built about 200 years ago just in case the Indians floated downriver from Canada. We don't have to worry about that anymore. Do you know why that army base is there? Do you know what that army base is really there for?
What's that?
Fight you.
Why do you think that, Bob?
What do you mean, why do I think that? That's what it's there for, sir.
How can an army made up of the...
Sir, you live in a country that has signed documents denouncing and promising never, ever, ever, ever to use chemical or biological weapons on an enemy. And you live in a country that has the largest store of chemical and biological weapons. Who do you think they're intended to be used against? You,
Bob.
In case you get out of hand.
Yeah, but Bob, do you think the American people are going to turn on their family, their neighbors? The Army isn't made up of, people from other countries.
No, sir. The Army is made up of 18-year-olds who haven't... Why is the Army made up of 18-year-olds instead of 30-year-olds? The male body does not reach its physical maturity until its late 20s and early 30s. The Army is made up of boys. Do you know why? Because they don't ask questions. They do what they're told to do. You know, like drop that canister of the nerve gas on Detroit.
Bob, but I can't, I don't think any 18-year-old is going to blow away, intentionally blow away a member of his community. I just don't see it.
Well, you see, sir, of course, he'll never blow away a member of his community, but he'll have no problem whatsoever in blowing away undesirable members of the community.
What alienates a...
for example, an undesirable member of the community might be somebody who has absolutely nothing and suddenly gets really pissed about it and decides that he's going to take, the Picassos.
Yeah.
From the guy that sells cars at 25% interest. That's what you have your Army for. It's to protect his Picassos, sir. You don't need a 2 million man army. To fight who? Who's your enemy? Our enemy is within. We are armed against ourselves.
What can you do, though, Bob? I thought about it, and it just I'm just a working man. I don't have nothing. I can do the best I can with my vote and try to stay up on it, Bob. But when it all comes down to it, if someone wants what I have, if they really wanted it, they could take it.
Let's come back to that thing that just drives some people in my audience insane. Because, again, I'm going to come back to it because we all know about it, okay? Let's come back to that new stadium. We have been told that we need a stadium that's going to cost between $168 million and $200 million that will be built on public land. On public land.
Who needs this?
Hold on just a second, dude. And the reason that we need this stadium is because the gazillionaire that owns the team can't make money with the current stadium, that he needs club seating and that he needs luxury boxes. So the elite in the community, including the leaders of the community, say, hey, makes perfect sense to us. The average citizen in this community, by the average citizen, goes way beyond that. The vast majority of citizens in this community will never see the inside of that stadium unless they see pictures of it. The vast majority of people in this community, because they can't afford to go inside. They will never see the club seating luxury lounges that are air-conditioned with leather couches. They will never see the luxury boxes finely appointed with, of course, very dark tinting on the windows so you can't see inside. They'll never see that, and yet the people who are in charge think it is perfectly reasonable to ask the average person to pay for it. Well, this happens to people every single day, and you complain about it, and I complain about it. I complain about it that it's going to cost me another $150 a year. Oh, that's just it's a thorn in my side. But when you're talking about somebody that doesn't have $150 a year,
it's unbelievable.
He gets a little pissed about that. And this happens to him every day. He goes to work, and he says, please, could I have a raise from $4.50 an hour to $4.75 an hour? And some woman dripping in gold said, oh, no, we can't afford that. The following day, he opens the paper, and there she is, sitting in the pool in her multi-million-dollar house, talking about her Picassos. How much longer do you think you're going to get away with this?
Well, Bob, the woman did not open her business to provide a community service. She didn't open that business, to make her employees' lives better, Bob. I can understand,
Clearly.
That, let me tell you about my boss.
Stop the presses, yeah.
My boss does not even have his own vehicle. Him and his wife, he owns a small sheet metal and air conditioning company with about 15 employees.
Yeah.
A small shop. Does not have his own pickup. Him and his wife share a 94 Thunderbird. Mm-hmm. And it's not even a loaded one. It's the stripped-down model.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone in my company that works there has a brand new 95 F-150.
Mm-hmm.
Air conditioning, the nice rims, beautiful toolboxes, ladder racks.
Mm-hmm.
And yet my boss doesn't even have a pickup to drive to and from his house.
Most bosses don't, man.
And
most bosses are just making it like most of the workers. Just barely.
What he's doing.
Just by the skin of their teeth. Yeah, that's
what
true.
He's doing. Any money he does make, he puts right back into his company.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's say one day, Bob, he does make it.
Yeah.
And is just rolling in millions. And I was there the whole time. Is it my fault that, he eventually made it? Or that he has something now and I didn't take the initiative to go off on my own and try my own thing? Is that anyone's fault?
Did I say it was?
No.
No, I think I used the word self-control, because the people on top are out of control. Totally, completely out of control.
I agree with that.
And I would suggest nothing more than self-control. And I would suggest when we open up the newspaper and we see stories like the one that I started with about them looting the car, the guy laying there in the intersection bleeding to death, don't be surprised. And don't kid yourself and say, oh, I don't understand what's happening. What causes these people to do that? It's real simple. From their perspective, they're in a car accident and you're looting them. They're laying there bleeding to death and you're taking their packages.
Well, what could make someone think like that, Bob? I didn't oppress them. I took the opportunities I made for myself and made something of them. I didn't go out of my way to oppress anyone. I mean, I'm sure there are some people out there that have,
this is an example I use often, but I'll try it one more time. One of these days it's going to sink in. Not terribly long ago, there was a man. I don't know what his name was. I don't even know which building he worked in, but there was a man who ran the elevator, and he devoted his life to running the elevator. He took great pride in bringing the elevator up to the 7th floor as quickly as humanly possible, and yet stopping it as smoothly as possible and as evenly as possible. And he took great pride in remembering the names of everybody that got on that elevator every day. And he took great pride in remembering which floor they went to. And he took great pride in saying good morning to them and making them feel a little bit better and saying good night to them at the end of the day. And one day, he disappeared. One day, the guy that owned the building said, well, I could put an automatic elevator in here. It cost me 2 years of that guy's salary, but the automatic elevator should run basically maintenance-free for 21 years, so therefore I will save and, I can get a bigger house and maybe a Picasso. Okay. So I'll get rid of the elevator operator. And that man who had devoted his entire life to running an elevator better than anybody else, or at least as good as anybody else, disappeared, and nobody gave a crap. Nobody ever said, what happened to Tony? God, what's going to happen to Tony? That's your answer, sir.
Interesting point, Bob. I appreciate your time.
Appreciate yours.
Okay, you have a good one.
You too.
Bye-bye.
576 WSUN in Pinellas and Hillsborough, 221 WSUN. Tony thinks you were Preston. It's 3:56. 1 minute after the hour of 4 o'clock. It is a Tuesday, September 26th, 1995. I, the magnificent Lassiter. Obviously now you know why. Assisted by Jeffy, the board operator extraordinaire, and Susie Homemaker, otherwise known as Sharon the Body Taylor.
Yes.
Yes.
Can't wait for some of that leftover
Or maybe
stuff
we
tonight.
should change that to Sharon Meatloaf Taylor.
Thank you, Bobby.
Have we heard from the woman in Arcadia, by the way, Jeffy? No, she hasn't called back yet. Damned. By the way, isn't it amazing how you could actually see Tony and how you felt sorry for him when they put in that automatic elevator? Even though I don't know if there was ever an elevator operator in the city of Tampa named Tony. Probably was. But you actually felt sorry for him, didn't you? Because we put a face on him. But you don't feel sorry for all those other Tonys who we didn't put a face on. That's the problem, dudes. Let's go to Port Richey. Hi, Port. You're on the air at WSUN.
Hey, Bob. Yeah, I was just thinking, you heard you talking about the Army. What do you think about the Coast Guard and the cuts that they're having right now?
I don't have any thoughts on the Coast Guard, sir.
Well, you're talking about all the cuts of the Army. You know, Army's spending so much money, but what do you think about
No, sir, I didn't say a word about cuts in the Army.
Well, you know,
I was simply trying to explain to the young man why we have an Army, sir. That's all I was doing.
So do you think the Coast Guard justified by getting cuts, the cuts they're getting this year?
I have no idea, sir.
You haven't heard about that?
No idea at all.
All right, then. If you don't know about that, then I guess I can't talk to you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye. 576 WSUN in Pinellas and Hillsborough. 221. Damn, I should have talked to him about farting. I'll bet he knew about that. 221 WSUN. And, of course, toll free, 1-800-356-WSUN. What?
Yeah, but because you didn't know about the Coast Guard, he didn't want to talk to you.
Yeah. Let's go to St. Petersburg. Hi, St. You're on the air at WSUN.
Hi, Bob. I'm a first-time caller.
Well, all right.
Right now my life is in a pathetic mess, and I guess I'd kind of like to tell you what happened to me. And
You think anybody cares?
no, in fact, that's the exact thing I've come to, is that no one does care.
See, that's what happens every time we talk like this. I'll get people like you who want to tell everybody else about the hard times you're having, but nobody ever calls up and says, I'm having great times, and damned, wow, maybe, what can I possibly do about some of those other people? Well, go ahead anyway.
I'm 32 years old. I have a job where I make $9.50 an hour. 5 years ago, I bought a brand new car off the showroom floor. Thought that was a real monumental point in my life. I paid $200 a month for 5 years on this car, which would be paid off this coming January. 3 months ago, I rented my first apartment. And I took the apartment because I knew my car was going to be paid off here shortly, and I would be able to afford this nice $450 a month apartment. Sunday afternoon, I'm sitting at a stop sign when another man hits a woman in a car and throws her car into my car at 50 miles an hour. My car is totaled. The insurance company is going to give me $1,200 for my car, which now I'll have to turn around, take that $1,200, and buy a junked-up used car
have a car payment now.